animals that were scarier than dinosaurs, Part 2. The helicoprion was a 20 to 25 foot fish that existed around 270 million years ago. It was discovered when paleontologists started examining a mysterious fossil that contained a row of teeth and swirls. It was given its name after scientists concluded that the fossil came from a shark-like fish, and it was believed that the teeth were located on top of its nose, while others believed that the teeth were attached to the lower jaw, or even on its dorsal fin or down its throat. Either way, a shark with a saw for teeth is terrifying.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebooks, man, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, smashing that like button, man, hitting that post notification. But that's how we grow. That's how we can grow our community. So great, appreciate the support. Let's do what we do best. Seek the truth.
You guys, this is absolutely horrible. Police in Yukon, Oklahoma received a call yesterday at 9:35 in the morning from a 10-year-old little boy claiming that he woke up and found the other 5 people in the home to be deceased. When police arrived, they said it was a total massacre. In a press conference this morning, police announced that 42-year-old Jonathan Candy had gotten into an altercation the night before with his wife, 39-year-old Lindsay Candy, and at that point he got out his firearm and shot her numerous times. He then systematically went through the house and unalived his 3 kids. They're 18-year-old Dylan, 14-year-old Ethan, and 12-year-old Lucas. This is an older photo from 2017, but it's the only one I could find so far. The police said they're unsure why that 4th child was left unharmed. Lindsay and one of the kids was found downstairs, and the other 2 kids were found upstairs, and they said that one of them was in their bed. And they don't know if anybody tried to fight back, but they believe that pretty much as soon as he saw one of them, he just took their life immediately. It was also reported that there was never any kind of history of domestic issues within the home, so nobody really has a clue what made him decide to do that.
He just snapped?
Prayers going up to the family and the friends. I can't even imagine.
Wholesome facts that will make your day slightly better, Part 1. When a human sees a puppy, a chemical called dopamine is released in the brain. Elephants also release dopamine when they see people, meaning that they think we're cute in the same way we think puppies are cute. There's a YouTube channel called Dad, How Do I that teaches young people things that would typically be taught by a father figure. From how to change a tire to how to tie a tie, fans of the channel think it's super helpful. When you're on a walk with your dog and they stop to take a dump, you may notice that your fluffy friend is staring at you as they poop. They do this because they're in a defenseless position and they're trusting you to keep them safe. There are more public libraries in the US than McDonald's. After the horrific events of 9/11, a small Kenyan tribe known as the Maasai people gave 14 cows to the US in their support. The man who played Mickey Mouse ended up marrying the woman who played Minnie Mouse, meaning that true love actually exists.
That's true love right there.
These are animals that were scarier than dinosaurs, Part 2. The helicoprion was a 20 to 25 foot fish that existed around 270 million years ago. It was discovered when paleontologists started examining a mysterious fossil that contained a row of teeth and swirls. It was given its name after scientists concluded that the fossil came from a shark-like fish, and it was believed that the teeth were located on top of its nose, while others believed that the teeth were attached to the lower jaw, or even on its dorsal fin or down its throat. Either way, a shark with a saw for teeth is terrifying. Next, the forest Ramsay is nicknamed the terror bird for a good reason. After dinosaurs went extinct, these 10-foot birds became the top predator in South America for 60 million years.
Really?
Their beaks could easily break the spine of a horse and crush the skull of their prey with one headbutt. They also had the same feet as T-Rexes. And lastly, the titanoboa is considered to be the biggest snake to ever exist, with a measurement of 50 feet in length, 10 times the size of a green anaconda. It lived 60 million years ago in what's now Colombia, and scientists were conflicted when studying this creature as it defied the laws of gravity. Usually, most land animals don't grow as large as this is because of gravity, but those that live in water don't deal with the same issues, which is why we have creatures like the blue whale. So many believe that the titanoboa spent a lot of time in water. Not to mention, it also preyed on crocodiles. So if one still exists, stay on land.
Disclaimer, depending on when you're watching this, there might just be a gender war in the comments, which is crazy because we're talking about baboons, so you probably know the deal with baboons, right? Usually the biggest, most belligerent alpha males, you know, the top 8, they're the ones that get the most, you know, while the lesser males, the best they could do is get the scraps. And how does a baboon become an alpha? Oh, easy. Violence. Lots of it. It's like a vicious cycle. The most aggressive baboons are the ones doing the most gooning. The more baboonery becomes generational. Except the cycle did break at one point. There was a point, I think it was like in the 1980s or something, where a bunch of baboons ate at a garbage dump, caught tuberculosis, and took a permanent leave from life. Oh, they dead. And with a lot of the aggro males out of commission, that left a lot of mild-mannered survivors. Now, you might think they took the opportunity to start big flexing, like on some bully become the bullies type shit. Actually, no, they were in fact chill like that. Now, normally the alpha males would regularly have temper tantrums and would beat on other males, females, and if you were an unsupervised minor, you could really get the Hulk to Loki treatment. But nah, these new males were kinder. They would spend more time grooming females, but not like in the weird YouTuber kind of way. They would even babysit for other females. And you know, since male baboons leave their birth troop to join a new one, new members would see this and be like, oh, so this is what we doing? I bet. Basically, there was a whole culture shift, and all it took was the bullies getting blacklisted from the census. And yeah, we're still talking about baboons here. The same ones that jump leopards and eat baby gazelles fresh out the womb. Those baboons, the more you know.
Like I said, the more you know, man. Change happens over time. Prime example in nature.
A high school football star who took his own life after falling victim to a sextortion scam is finally seeing justice. Nigerian brothers Samuel and Samson Ogoshi posed as a woman on Instagram and tricked 17-year-old Jordan DeMay into sending them intimate photos. They demanded the teen send them $1,000, threatening to share the pictures with his friends and family if he didn't pay up. 6 hours later, DeMay was found dead. His last message was, "I'm killing myself right now because of you." Now the scammers have pleaded guilty to conspiring to exploit teenage boys.
The infamous case of the woman that cut off her husband's manhood. When Lorena married John Bobbitt, she thought that it was going to be happily ever after. But in reality, John started hurting Lorena the second they tied the knot. Physically, emotionally, and then he started essaying her. This guy was a huge a-hole. Unemployed while his wife worked 2 jobs, forced Lorena to end a pregnancy that she wanted to keep. Cheating on her. On top of all of that, he would go out, get super drunk every night, then come home and essay Lorena. Then one night in June of 1993, after John essayed his wife and passed out drunk, his wife Lorena went to the kitchen to get herself a glass of water, where a large cutting instrument was in plain view, which Lorena took back into her bedroom and cut off John's member. She then got in her car and left and threw it out the car window. But somehow they were able to find it in time and reattach it after a 9-hour surgery. There was actually 2 trials in this story, one for what Lorena did to John and one for what John did to Lorena, and they were actually both found not guilty. They obviously divorced and went on to live very different lives. Today, Lorena is a wife and mother, and also the founder of her own foundation against domestic violence. After the incident, John went on to star in some adult movies. Today, he's unemployed and has been married and divorced 3 times. And just last week, he publicly announced that after drinking contaminated water, he had to have all 10 of his toes recently amputated, which doctors were unable to reattach.
Is this AI? Netflix is facing criticism for allegedly using computer-generated images in a true crime documentary. What Jennifer did details how then 24-year-old Jennifer Pan arranged a kill-for-hire attack on her parents, but what's really haunting viewers is some of the uncanny pictures used in the movie. In one of the photos in question, Pan's hands appear to be missing fingers, and parts of the background look warped. In another, her ears and teeth look amiss. Now viewers are questioning whether or not the use of AI in documentaries is ethical. So what do you think? Is there a serial?
I don't think that's ethical, man, because documentary, that's supposed to be like, you're supposed to have the facts straight down right to the point. AI, you can use that to manipulate the pictures, the facts, and things like that. So that takes away, I guess, the truth of it, which is the whole point of a documentary, right? To present the truth. This technology is getting too crazy.
Killer terrorizing Texas. 2 bodies have been found in Austin's Lady Bird Lake, bringing the total to 12 since 2022. Police say the deaths are likely accidental due to the lake's proximity to popular nightlife spots, but rumors of a possible Rainy Street Ripper continue to swirl as the bodies keep piling up. While cops have ruled out foul play in several cases, at least 1 death remains unsolved. One local bartender has a hard time accepting there's not something more sinister at play, saying, "I find it hard to see how people could leave Rainy and end up at the lake. You have to walk blocks to get there."
Guys, there's breaking news out of Yukon, Oklahoma this morning, where reports are that 5 individuals from the same family were all found DEAD in their home. Now, I know your first thought is that it was an MS, but the word is that it is not. It was not. This was a very brutal homicide. The word that I'm getting, of course, this is unconfirmed, but the word that I'm getting is that it was a mom and dad. They have 4 children. 3 of those children were still in school. 1 of those children graduated last year in 2023, and that it was their 10-year-old son who actually made the discovery. Mustang Public Schools there in Yukon, Oklahoma have confirmed that 2 of those victims were students at that school. Law enforcement was called to do a welfare check, and they went in and they discovered what is being described as a very violent scene. There is no official word on the actual cause of DEATH. Sorry, I'm having to spell everything out. I just don't want this taken down. I do know the names of the victims. However, I have not seen that publicly released anywhere. I'm not going to go ahead and share it. I'm going to wait until law enforcement officially gives names, releases names. They are supposed to be giving out more information tomorrow morning. As soon as that information is available, I will come back and share it with you guys.
The Egyptian woman that you just saw in that video, Manar Sammy, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for the content she posted on TikTok.
No way.
But what exactly was she posting on TikTok that got her sent to prison? Well, nothing out of the ordinary. Dancing, lip syncing, and basic innocuous content. But she was arrested in 2020 on charges of, I'm going to read this to you, inciting debauchery, immorality, and stirring up instincts.
What?
Yes, she was arrested for immorality and inciting debauchery with her dancing TikTok videos. Well, Manar, like I said, was eventually sentenced to 3 years in prison.
No.
This happened back in 2020 when a number of Egyptian female TikTok influencers were randomly targeted and sentenced to prison time. After being found guilty, she was also ordered to pay 300,000 Egyptian pounds to the government. She did eventually get out of prison though, and she's still active here on TikTok. And over on Instagram too. I just couldn't believe it when I saw that video and saw that content like that got her sentenced to 3 years in prison. It's pretty wild to me.
Nah, just imagine y'all doing some TikTok dances and man, the police pulls up to you and just say you get 3 years in prison because you were inciting debauchery. You will look at them like, what the hell are you talking about? Different laws in different places in the world. Never ceases to amaze me. She only got 3 years for dancing? Edit. That's one of the most bizarre cases we've heard yet.
Which, Shannon, stingrays are pregnant all the time, right? Who cares? Wrong, because this stingray is in a tank of all other female stingrays and some sharks.
So stingrays are one of the few animals able to do parthenogenesis, which is just cloning themselves without fertilization, aka they need a man about as much as a fish needs a bicycle, which is not at all. And as close cousins of stingrays, some sharks like hammerheads and blacktips can parthenogenesis as well. Komodo dragons and zoos have been known to do the multiplying magic trick too. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything. I googled the number, and apparently there's over 80 animals that can have an immaculate conception. But that really shouldn't be surprising. There's an animal that only ever uses this because they got the opposite of a sausage party. They got clouder power. Clouder is a name for a group of cats. This is a whip-tailed lizard, and every single one alive is a female. There are no males in existence. Where did they come from? Where they all go? Don't ask me. I honestly don't know. If someone more knowledgeable than me wants to got the facts, please do. I'll pin you. But yeah, they're all female, and they all use parthenogenesis. But the freaky part is they still got it, like, how am I gonna say this? Alright, basically what I'm afraid Godline's finna do to me, these lesbianist lizards pretend to do to each other, because I guess it triggers ovulation. I don't know, bro. I'm still stuck on the fact all the males got snoot off the senses. But yeah, from lizards to dragons, from pythons to water placemats, some animals can Xerox themselves, the more you know.
Damn. Never knew.
Recently, several women have been randomly punched in the face.
A man came up and punched me in the face. I just got punched in the face.
He goes, sorry, and then punches me.
Punched me and punched
The injuries range from a black eye to as severe as a broken nose. The man believed to be responsible is 30-year-old Jean Carlos Zarzuela. Police caught and arrested him, but the court utterly failed. He was quickly released from jail without bail, and 9 days later at the Grand Central Terminal in New York, he struck again. According to reports yesterday, he punched an innocent 9-year-old girl, leaving her dizzy and in pain. As of now, he is currently in jail, but if the court failed to keep him locked up and removed the bail, who's to say he's not going to be released again? With that being said, if you are a woman living in New York, please keep an eye out for this man as he's extremely dangerous.
Former cop showed up at the school yesterday during dismissal and took the life of his ex-wife, and then he fled. And looking for him, the cops went to his home, and then they found his 17-year-old girlfriend there, whom he got pregnant at 15. She was unalived also. Now, this happened in Washington, and the age of consent in Washington is 16 years old. So he was due in court yesterday to answer to charges of him impregnating her at 15, as well as taking advantage of her friend who spent the night at their home. So the 17-year-old girl had moved in with him, and she had a friend over that was 16 years old. They was drinking throughout the day or whatever. Then she said that she went to bed with her friend, in the bed with her friend. She woke up to her boyfriend, who's 39 years old, taking advantage of her friend. Like I said, he had impregnated his girlfriend, and when this happened, that baby was 9 months old. But now that baby is he has abducted that baby, and he's on the run. Now the 17-year-old's name is Angelica Santos, but they call her Jelly. And Jelly's brother did take to Facebook yesterday because he thought the former cop had also abducted Jelly and the baby, but it turns out that Jelly was in his home unalive. Now, he and his ex-wife do have 2 children together. She tried to change the custody arrangement because she felt like he was a threat to her and her children. She said he was emotionally and mentally unstable. He had been harassing her so much throughout their divorce that she had to get a protection order. On top of going through that, he was also dealing with the issue with the 16 and the 17-year-old that he got pregnant when she was 15. Now, I just hope that in them catching him, he don't decide to take his life as well as that baby's life.
Crazy ass case.
Are you tired that the police are finally going to figure out that you're the one with all the dead bodies in your basement? If so, congratulations, you once again made it to Criminal TikTok, and today I'm going over some tips and tricks on how to not become a serial killing suspect. So if you have a friend who might need this video, make sure to tag them below. Tip and trick number 1, a lot of serial killers, as they kill more people, they get more and more lazy, so they stop driving out as far and get closer and closer to their home. You're basically leading the detectives directly to your house. So make sure as you kill more people, you go further and further away. Alright, tip and trick number 2, ideally you're not even unaliving people in your own country. You see, you might know your own country more, but your own country also knows you more. If you're constantly traveling to new countries and having a little bit of fun while you're there, the police will never look in the right place because they always expect someone who lives there or had a connection to the victim to be the one that did it. And also think about it, when was the last time you heard of an international serial killer? You haven't, because they never get caught. Step number 3, I know it's very hard for some of you to limit yourself, but if you could hypothetically limit your unalivings to 1 every 2 to 3 months, and in different locations, the police will never connect these together, giving you a much greater chance of escaping. Last but not least, a lot of people get caught because they'll commit a completely separate crime, and the police will investigate them and figure out that they're the ones doing the serial killings. Yeah, just don't be that guy. Thanks for watching, and follow for more tips and tricks.
I knew
Look into
I would
his
end
TikTok.
up dead. Those
There's
were the
something
chilling final
awful
words
about
Laura
that.
Cowell wrote to her daughter after falling victim to a Match.com scam before mysteriously drowning. The widower had been in a relationship with a man she met on the dating site who went by Frank Borg for over a year when her body was found in a river nearly 4 hours from her home. Before her death, Borg had scammed her out of $1.5 million.
What?
Her car was found 50 miles from her body, and her cause of death was determined to be drowning.
West Virginia man gets life for killing his daughter and son-in-law over an alleged incestuous relationship. On April 22nd, they found him guilty for 2 counts of first-degree murder. This whole thing happened back in 2022, and he will now serve life behind bars. He needs to serve 30 years before he'll be eligible for parole. Apparently, cops pulled up to the scene with reports of gunshots. That's when Carl Cox behind me said he had to wrestle the gun out of her boyfriend's hand to shoot him.
However, his story was not adding up. Both of them were lying in bed, and it looks like they had been shot while they were lying down. They also found a few bullets that penetrated through the mattress. So Carl Cox's story behind me was just not adding up. There was also no signs of struggle. So he was trying to frame this entire incident. And of course, a good old surveillance camera caught him walking towards the bedroom with a gun in hand. And he kept lying in court. But he messed up when he told a fellow inmate that he killed both of those people, his daughter and his son-in-law. I'm not sure what his game plan is here. He was lying to the court but telling others what he actually did. But here's where things make sense and get really, really disgusting. One of his children came forward saying that he was having an incestuous relationship with his daughter that he shot. So I guess he got jealous that she had a boyfriend or husband and then went and killed them both. Now that is absolutely disgusting, and that makes a lot of sense with this story. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Crazy. The things people will do. I guess you can when they get jealous. But that was just a disturbing relationship in itself.
This is the creepiest unsolved mystery because this man is still out there. Like, they never caught him. The media called him Mr. Cruel, and he was a predator from 1987 to 1991 in Australia. This literally looks like a creepypasta, but I swear it's not. He had 4 attacks, and they were similar. He was either abducting children or abusing them. He'd stalk his victims for months to plan out his attacks. Like, listen to this. So all of these pictures are like real police sketches of what he supposedly looked like, which just makes it so much creepier. Like, this is his first attack. He was armed with a knife and a handgun. He was wearing his mask. He broke into this house at 4 a.m. and he locked the parents in a closet and tied their young son to the bed, cut the phone cords in the house, and did unspeakable things to the daughter. All very young children. Another attack, he broke into the home with the same weapons, the same description. Also at 5 a.m., like very similar times, he bound and gagged the parents, and then he abducted their daughter. He addressed the daughter, her name is Sharon, by her name. Which is alarming because it's like, how did he know her name? Does he actually know the family? No one knows who this guy is. Maybe this was their neighbor. Similarly, once the family was able to free themselves, they went to the phone and all the phone lines were cut. Next day, they found their daughter walking around with a trash bag. She said that she had been assaulted many times and tortured in unspeakable ways. And he gave her a bath after and clipped her nails and flossed her teeth so there wouldn't be any evidence. Also, this is all for educational purposes, of course. When the last victim was abused and abducted, her family put out a $300,000 reward if she was ever returned. And they involved the police, but she was never found again. They ended up finding her skeleton years later. Like, this guy walking his dog stumbled upon her skeleton, and she had 3 wounds in the head. All of these attacks were very calculated, and there was no evidence. There was literally no evidence. This man was so smart, no one could ever identify him. He thought of everything. And they think that they found evidence, they think they'd have a lead, they question people, and then they'd get thrown off. They narrowed it down to 30,000 suspects, and then they watched them, and they questioned 15,000 of them, and every time they got a lead, they'd get thrown off. So no one ever knows who this man is. He might still be out there. He might be gone by now. Who knows? If you like my content, follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact. Also, go check out those other platforms because you know what's going on right now.
This is probably one of the most hated people on the internet right now. Mr. Beast did another competition where ages 1 through 100 compete to win $250,000. During one point of the competition, they spun a wheel, and whatever number it landed on, that was the number of the person that then got to decide the fate of all the rest of the contestants whose number the wheel landed on. Number 43 was in charge, but had number 42 in their ear, basically telling them, just eliminate everybody. Now, before the contestants were eliminated, they had the chance to plead their case on why they should stay. And then it finally lands on number 11, which is an 11-year-old child.
You are a kind person. And you are kind enough to not eliminate me.
Save Gio! Then we had 42 in her ear saying,
don't do it. Now's not the time to develop a heart, okay?
43 responds and says, okay, and proceeds to eliminate number 11.
So much. You are literally the coolest 11-year-old I've ever seen. You've got tons of energy and spunk, and your future is super bright. but unfortunately your time here is over.
And number 11 tearfully leaves the game. However,
that's cold-blooded.
Towards the end of the game, they blacked out everybody's queue. And if only one person left their queue, they would win $250,000, which was what the prize was to begin with. But if another person stepped out, they were both eliminated and no one got the money. Well, number 42 yelled, "I'm going to walk out of my queue," which meant if anyone else walked out, then they both lose. So 42 steps out, and at the very last second, 58 also walks out, just so 42 doesn't win.
She said you ain't getting that money, my guy.
If you've been following, you know Alicia was abducted from her bed by 16-year-old Aaron Campbell. He's just been moved to an adult prison where he says he is terrified that he'll be targeted for what he did to her. You see, on July 2nd, Alicia was actually on vacation, visiting her dad on the Isle of Bute. He and his girlfriend reportedly watched Peppa Pig with her before bed, and then, like everyone there, they left the house key in her front door. Now, meanwhile, about 5 minutes away, then 16-year-old Aaron was celebrating the end of exams. He had about 15 friends over that night, but by 12:30, he reportedly got into a fight with his mom, and his attitude changed. One of his friends actually came up to his room to check on him, but he just insisted. After going to get some substances, he'd be fine. His friends then ended up leaving his house, and he texted the couple who was known to sell him said substances. And that was Alicia's 26-year-old father and his girlfriend. As we know, at 1:46, Aaron texted Robert like he always did, but with no response after 6 minutes, he decided to head over there himself. He then walked the 5 minutes to Alicia's grandparents' house where he lived, and armed with a kitchen knife, he simply walked inside. Alicia's bedroom was actually the closest room to the door, and as soon as he saw her, he, quote, knew that he had to kill her. From here, Aaron picked Alicia up, and he started walking with her along the shore. She actually woke up at one point and asked what was going on, but he told her he knew her dad and was just taking her home. Instead, he took her to the old site of the Kyles at Butte Hotel, where he inflicted 117 catastrophic injuries. Tragically, a coroner would note that he violently shook her, and he took his time. Now, come the next morning, when Alicia wasn't in her bed, the entire town started searching. And then, around that same time, her dad and his girlfriend, of course, saw that they had this missed text from Aaron. They called him back that morning to ask what he needed and to see if he could help look for Alicia, but he responded, quote, "It doesn't matter anymore." And oh damn, I'm sure she's not gone too far. Now, by 8 that morning, a local searcher found Alicia's body, along with all of her clothing had been thrown into the sea. Her funeral was held about 5 days later, but her mom wasn't the only mother there upset. Aaron's mom was there too, and she actually wanted to do anything she could to help. So, she offered to check her family's security cameras. Now, when Jeanette checked these cameras, her heart sank, because there was her son leaving at the same time Alicia disappeared. She immediately went to ask him about it, but he must have had a good explanation. She ended up taking that footage and giving it to police in an effort to clear his name. As we know, while police initially brought Aaron in as a witness, he eventually confessed to the crime in detail. He was charged with murder on July 4th, but as if it couldn't get worse, he then said he was quite satisfied with what he'd done. He was then legally disowned by his parents, and for the first time in Scottish history, a judge ruled to release the juvenile's name. In the end, Aaron was sentenced to 27 years in prison, telling psychologists that he'd been having dark fantasies for years. He's already been hospitalized several times from attacks at the Young Offenders Institution, which may explain why he was training every day for this move to adult prison. Again, reports state that he knows he'll have a target on his back for what he did to Alicia.
This woman poured boiling sugar all over her husband's body, and this case is absolutely mind-blowing. This case takes place in England on July 14th, 2020. Karina Smith was a 59-year-old woman and was married to an 81-year-old man named Michael Baines. I tried to find pictures of Michael, but I think none are available on the internet. Michael was in need of care due to his poor health, and because of their difference in age, Karina was able to become his primary caregiver. The two had a child together named Michael Jr., and Karina had another son and daughter from a previous relationship. But in 2007, her son Craig took his own life at just the age of 25. Before his death, he went to prison for attacking a man. Following this, Craig became distressed and spoke to his mother. He said the man he attacked was a predator, and that a predator had touched him inappropriately in the past. He said, "Mom, he's a predator." Shortly after this, Craig took his own life. Karina had formed a relationship with Michael while he was in his 40s and her in her 20s. She said the relationship was positive at first, but that was until his age began to become more noticeable. And things started to deteriorate as he aged, but despite this, she still provided Michael with the care he needed. On the 13th of July 2020, people who knew Karina said she had been acting differently and was described as angry and very upset.
This was because her daughter had opened up about some horrific trauma both she and her now deceased brother had experienced at the hands of their stepfather, Michael. Karina's daughter told her that when they were younger, Michael would take advantage of them both and would touch them inappropriately. After Karina heard these allegations from her daughter, she remembered what her son told her about being attacked by a predator. The guilt of Craig's suffering from such a fate stayed with her for years, and a deep rage began to burn inside of her. On July 14th, 2020, at around 10 a.m., Karina returned to her home that she shared with Michael. She entered the home and grabbed a bucket, along with 3 kilograms of sugar that she had just bought. She then began to boil a large amount of water, creating a boiling syrup. Once this concoction was ready and scalding hot, Karina slowly entered Michael's bedroom. Michael was fast asleep and totally unaware that his wife was standing over him holding a bucket filled with boiling sugar. Filled with rage, Karina began to pour the boiling sugar all over her sleeping husband's body. Michael woke up and began to scream as the liquid destroyed his skin. This mixture of sugar and boiling water is often referred to as prison napalm, due to the horrific burns it can cause. Once the bucket was empty, Karina ran over to her neighbor's house, which was 9 doors down. She banged on the door until the neighbor answered. Karina didn't know her well, but told her what she had done. The neighbor called the police and explained what happened, and when the police arrived, they entered the home and found Michael whimpering in bed with skin on his arms and torso beginning to peel off. Michael was rushed to the hospital and Karina was arrested. Karina was then asked why she did this to her husband, in which she explained what her daughter told her, and that she became so enraged that she poured the liquid all over her husband. Michael was able to be stabilized but suffered burns to 36% of his body, and 2 weeks later Michael passed away from his injuries. Karina was then charged with murder and was then found guilty of murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 12 years. Cases like this always cause division. To some, Karina was a hero and someone who took revenge to protect her children, while others see her as a reckless murderer who killed her husband based off one simple allegation. So let me know your opinion on this crazy, crazy case.
Man. That kids told her, she just snapped. And when that rage boils inside of you, you don't know what it will make you do. Guys, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a truth seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Can you guys subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, also hit that post notification bell. Have you guys noticed I've changed my style, man? Like I said, you guys told me to quit the pausing. I like trying to limit to 3 or 4 times a video. I'm letting it play out. Hold my thoughts till after, man. I said stop saying seeker, so I'm gonna stop saying that. I'm gonna say it a couple of times, man. But that's our community, man. That's what we called, and I just want to grow that, and I know we can do that together. So greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, these changes are coming to the channel. Guys, stick with me, man. We're gonna end April off strong, man. Can I get a like clapping emojis in the comments, man? I haven't missed a day of April. Haven't missed a day yet. Daily uploading. Guys gonna catch in the next one, man. I love seeking the truth with you guys. Peace, you dude. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikToks to IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the seekers, man, who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man. We guys are growing the community together. Really appreciate that, man. Like I said, I changed the volume, so let me know if you guys can hear the videos even better, man. With each and every video I'm trying to do, get the settings right for you guys. Found this video for you guys today. Seek the truth, seekers.
Facts about the ocean that are scarier than any horror movie. First up, I bet you didn't know that you can literally melt in the ocean. Because in the deep sea, there's something called hydrothermal vents that can reach up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, which will allegedly cause your body to melt. But by then, you probably wouldn't even notice because all your bones would have likely been crushed by the pressure. The next fact is honestly even scarier to think about. You know how we have so many scary stories about sea creatures, like sirens, the Loch Ness Monster, or giant squids? Well, a lot of the creatures that used to be just a story are are slowly being discovered as real. For example, the giant squid, which scientists found were not only real and over 59 feet in length, but are also cannibals. If that's not bad enough, here's more. Because the ocean is basically a giant graveyard. In 2014, researchers diving into an underwater cave in Mexico found the remains of a girl estimated to be 13,000 years old, meaning there's a high likelihood that if you go missing or drown that you would probably never be found. There's also 10 million viruses in every drop of seawater, meaning viruses in the ocean outnumber all of the stars in the Milky Way. The actual number is estimated to be 1 nonillion, which is a number I've never heard before, but here it is written out. That itself makes me never want to go swimming in the ocean again. Follow for more. Photos.
What the hell? One nonillion? Learn new stuff every day, man, watching these videos with you guys. As I said, tap in with us. Those facts about to see, those are just scary. I can't believe there's more viruses like in the sea than there's stars in the Milky Way. If you think about it, that's freaking mind-blowing. 1 million. We love our lands.
Of people before and after they went missing. Number 1, Riker Webb. Riker Webb went missing and was found 4 days later on his own in a completely rural area. Number 2, Brenda Heist. Brenda Heist went missing for 11 years. Daughter, family, everybody sent search parties looking for this woman, and 11 years later she turned up looking like this. Steve Carter. Now this is an interesting one. Steve Carter was searching an online forum when he came across a missing child case. He realised that the child was him. Imagine finding this out online as a grown adult. If you like anything weird, scary or a little bit creepy, please support my channel by giving me a follow.
That last story.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 19. Facebook was forced to shut down 2 artificial intelligence robots named Alice and Bob because they started communicating with one another in their own language. If you ever win the lottery, you're 120 times more likely to be killed by an immediate family member. A sloth has nipples in its armpits. In the 17th century, there was a man named Tare who could eat his entire body weight in just one sitting. And despite being pretty skinny, he would swallow live animals, eat human corpses, and was even accused of eating the body of a 3-year-old toddler. An 11-year-old boy named Konorak escaped Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment, but was later returned to Dahmer by police, and he killed the boy just 30 minutes after. It's commonly believed in religion that angels look like this, but according to the Bible, they actually look like this.
6 things you didn't know.
Those things we learn, Seekers, man. Especially about the part about the winning the lottery. I didn't even know that was a known statistic, known fact. It goes to show you, Seekers, man. Once you get that money, you instantly become a target, man. It doesn't matter if it's friend, family. You just gotta watch out who you be around because you're the target. You're the biggest, I guess, threat in the room. Damn. I think about that guy who can eat his whole body weight in the city. It's old stories, man, that I'm just not hearing.
Know about the Pocong and where you can find them in Singapore. Before we start, let's talk about the story behind the Pocong. Pocong is one of the most infamous ghosts in Malay mythology. Pocong is the soul of a deceased person who is doomed to roam the earth due to unfinished business. According to Malay funeral practices, the body has to be tied in several places to keep the body intact. When the body is put into the grave, the knots are usually removed. According to Malay belief, the soul usually stays in earth for 40 days. So when the knots are not removed, the soul gets stuck in the body and jumps out of the grave as a Pocong. The first thing you didn't know about a Pocong is that they can age. If the Pocong has a body of a person who died recently, the Pocong will look young. And if the Pocong has a body of a person who died long ago, the Pocong will look old. Number 2, Pocongs don't walk, they hop like a rabbit. Since the knots on their feet are not removed when they are buried, they can't walk, so they hop. Sometimes they even roll around in the ground. Number 3, Pocongs are also known as vampires because they love to drink blood. They do so to absorb the life force of a person to feel more energetic. Number 4, Pocongs have the ability to teleport anywhere, but their most common place is to be under a banana tree. Number 5, the red Pocong is the most aggressive kind of Pocong. This Pocong will attack even without being provoked, and since they are very aggressive, they are known to be the leaders of Pocongs. Number 6, apparently if you hug a Pocong, you'll have a luxurious life. If you hug a Pocong, you might untie their knots, thus releasing their soul. Thus, out of gratefulness, they will reward you with enormous wealth. Most common sightings of a Pocong were reported at Bukit Batok, so all you Westsiders stay safe.
Pocongs. We're going to dive deep into that, man. See some more of the history of those. They can teleport through? We believe that? Fact or cap?
Interesting facts you didn't know. The last one will shock you. There are only 2 people alive who know the recipe of Coca-Cola, and they aren't allowed to travel on the same plane in case it crashes. Did you know that TikTok knows who has a crush on you? Your secret admirer is the second person that appears when you click on share than WhatsApp. Research shows that most dog owners would rather hang out with their dogs instead of other people. There is no single comment under this video with 0 likes. People who like the smell of gasoline, nail polish, and acetone have a very strong tendency to do drugs. Before passing away, Albert Einstein said a few words in German. The only person to listen was a nurse who didn't speak German. If you comment evil, you will unlock a new secret TikTok emoji. Remember to use the brackets with small letter. There is a species of jellyfish that is biologically immortal. This means that it can theoretically live forever as long as it doesn't get eaten or injured. The world's oldest piece of gum is 9,000 years old, and it was found in Sweden. And now, before the last fact, support us by pressing the plus button for more interesting content every day. The probability of you drinking a glass of water with molecules that have passed through a dinosaur is almost 100%.
10 facts you didn't know that could save your life. If your house ever smells like fish for no reason, 9 times out of 10, it's because there's an electrical fire. If you're in a foreign country and you need to call for help, but you don't know the emergency number, call 112 and it'll automatically connect you to the nearest helpline. If a tornado looks like it's not moving, it's actually moving towards you. If you ever wake up to the smell of gas, don't turn on a light. The spark from the light switch could blow up your entire house. Lying flat on your back is the best way to survive a falling elevator. If your hair ever stands up, duck and cover because you're about to be struck by lightning. If you ever fall off the edge onto the tracks, don't try and crawl back up. There's a crawl space built to go underneath in case this happens. If a deer runs across the road, it's better to hit it than swerve into the ditch. But if it's a moose, then it's better to swerve into the ditch. Because hitting a moose is like hitting a brick wall. Even if you have no service, you can still dial 911. In an emergency, your phone will connect to the nearest tower. If you ever get kidnapped into the back of a vehicle, disconnect the brake light wires so the cops will pull them over. Then kick on the door to let them know that you're there.
Interesting facts. You're gonna have to write those down.
This footage will blow your mind. A Bangkok Airways pilot sat in his aircraft and filmed what looks like dozens of people exiting a plane. Passengers are seen towing their luggage through a connecting bridge, except this jet bridge was empty. It wasn't connected to a plane, leaving viewers completely baffled as to where the ghostly passengers were coming from. The footage is chilling, and hauntingly, the figures appear to be floating, not walking. The pilot posted the video online, and it sparked a debate. Some say this is just an optical illusion. Others believe these figures are ghosts, spirits caught on film. So ghosts or an optical illusion? What do we think?
Ghosts or optical illusions? I mean, there's an optical illusion. There's a lot of people, man. Ghosts? Could be that. Could it be, like I said, an edited video or something? We don't know. Those type of videos, man, it always get to me, though. Those are chilling, bro. Very weird. It's because you don't have an explanation to explain that. You have to dive deep into that one. Anybody who can find out, tell me down below, man. Like I said, fact or cap.
Scary moments in nature caught on camera.
That's what it's saying. Don't hold it.
Possible contamination from the air. Please keep shelter in your residence until further notice. If you are a resident of TIK County, please stand by for further updates.
What the hell is that? You don't have a dog. Skinwalker?
Smile Dog is a demon that pretends to be a real dog. Legend says that if you see a picture of Smile Dog, he'll come get you while you're sleeping. And the only way to prevent this is to show the picture to someone else. So send this video to everybody you know. Full story coming tomorrow.
Everyday things you didn't know. The purpose of part 2. 1. The headrest in your vehicle. Although the main reason you have this item in your car is pretty obvious, but there is a hidden use for these that you might need to save your life one day. If you ever get into an accident and can't get out of the car, take the headrest off to break the window with the metal legs. 2. The little hole in your padlock. Many people think this is where the lock could be picked from, but actually, it is only for you to oil up the lock when it starts to get a little rusty and old. 3. The tiny buttons on your jeans. These are known as rivets and they're attached to your jeans at parts that have a high probability of tearing apart from strain or movement. At least, now you will value those tiny buttons and know what's keeping those pairs of jeans in your wardrobe for a longer time.
I've always wondered what those were for.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm still good.
Feeling uneasy yet? Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
Crazy did you know fact of other senses to tell when something is wet.
Really?
This video will prove
Thalassophobia. We already proved we don't have it.
Fun
facts
that might scare you.
Oh, I gotta get in on this. The freshwater snail has parasites attached to it, and when you enter the same water as the freshwater snail, the parasites will seek you out, go inside you, and usually that's fatal. There's a crocodile that's eaten over 200 people, and he's still out there in the wild. Eventually, the sun will consume the entire solar system, and there's nothing we can do about it. This is the largest species of hornet in the world. They're from Japan, they are highly aggressive, they have a very painful sting, and somehow they made their way to the United States. The FDA actually allows a certain amount of fruit flies and fruit fly eggs in some of our food.
Fun fact, in 2021, 43 camels were disqualified from the Camel Beauty Contest at the King Abdulaziz Festival in Saudi Arabia. Handlers will inject the camels' faces with Botox, silicone, and other fillers to make the lips longer and droopier and also make the nose bigger, and handlers will also use rubber bands to limit blood flow to certain body parts to enhance their appearance, as well as injecting the camels with hormones to make the hump larger, rounder, and more shapely. 27 contestants were disqualified for body part stretching, and another 16 were disqualified for having received injections. Camel breeding is a multi-million-dollar industry, and the King Abdulaziz Camel Beauty Contest is no joke, with $66 million in prize money up for grabs. The Camel Club, who organizes the event, have taken a hardline approach on handlers who are participating in unnatural camel beautification. In order to detect cheating, each camel is examined both physically and clinically, x-rayed, looked over with a 3D ultrasound device, and finally, they test the camel's blood and conduct a genetic analysis.
I didn't know camel breeding was a $66 million industry. Who knew? What the hell? And they going through the same. They do the same things as us humans do, man. Go through the process of trying to look better. I can't believe even edibles have to go through that. The more you know. It's like you truly can't escape that, man. Just working on it, like fixing up yourself. The animals have a process. Humans is just like it goes all around. Where you at?
A fisherman just got video proof of the Loch Ness Monster for the first time. Just 3 days ago, a local fisherman from New York named Lucas Steele went out fishing on Lake Ontario, but what he would find that day he'll never forget. He was out on the water as he is every Saturday trying to get a big catch. The biggest fish he had ever caught was a 41-pound Chinook salmon, and he was hoping to one day find 148 pounds, which would break the record. He was fishing Suddenly he saw something in the distance that resembled a sea serpent with a long neck and moved quickly through the water. Lucas Steele's interest peaked and quickly turned his boat engine on and moved over the area. He didn't see anything for a few minutes, but then he saw something pop up out of the water. This was the Loch Ness Monster, and it was massive. It was 15 feet tall and at least 50 feet long. He was astonished and quickly took out his phone to take pictures and videos. People tried to tell him not to publish the video, but as of yesterday, he just released it. To see the footage, save this video, then press share, then more, then click on photos, or comment Nessie in all caps under this video.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? Squirrels lose more than half of the nuts that they hide. Our eyes are always the same from birth, but our nose and ears never stop growing. It will take 1 hour to drive to space. The second person you see when you click share on WhatsApp is your soulmate. Humans have jumped further than horses in the Olympics. T-shirts were originally made for unmarried men who didn't know how to sew buttons on collared shirts. On average, a baby can cost new parents up to 750 hours of sleep. More? It's true. Time gets faster as we age. This graph shows how we perceive time as we get older. According to this, we experience over 70% of our perceived life by the time we turn 21, with everything until age 5 comprising almost 50% of our whole lives. So why doesn't it feel like turning 5 was the halfway point of our life so far? Well, first of all, we don't start forming stable memories until about age 3 to 4, so those years have been pretty much wiped clean. Secondly, as we age, each additional year becomes a smaller and smaller percentage of how many years we've lived so far. So each year that goes by becomes a smaller and smaller sliver of our total lives. For example, at age 50, an entire year is just 2% of your total life. Meanwhile, back when you were 10, 2% of your life was only about 2.5 months. So technically, 2.5 months to a 10-year-old should feel about the same as an entire year would to a 50-year-old. Time doesn't actually move faster as you age. Your brain just has limited storage space. About 2,500 terabytes to be exact, which seems like a lot, but it actually fills up pretty quick considering that we're basically recording a never-ending video into our memories in 16K or whatever resolution reality is. And each year, your brain needs to choose which memories to delete in order to make room for new ones. Meaning, as we age, we slowly forget the most significant memories of our lives, making us feel like we got to where we are today faster than we actually did. While every additional year that goes by feels like a less and less significant portion of our total timeline, causing life to zip by at supersonic speed by the time we hit like 30. Curious to know, what age is your earliest memory from?
Scary moments in me.
Nah, he was spitting. I ain't on I guess how we perceive time as we get older. How it really just goes by. It's like it's more quicker. Cause sometimes I do maybe having to recall, sometimes my earlier memories. It's the earliest memory I could think of. I could really think and go back. See, damn it, it's hard. I'm trying to do it right now. I only have to think. Damn. You was spitting, bro.
Nature caught on camera.
I can't even recall it right now. See, because I think the earliest memory is probably like when I was maybe like 4 or 5 when we had like a whole bunch, we had the dog and me, and they had like a whole bunch of puppies. I remember going to their room. That's like the earliest memory I can think of right now. The more he said, I'm about to say, the more he was talking in that video, the more it was kind of clicking in my head. Whew, alright. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, I changed the volume for you guys, man. Like I said, so hopefully you guys can hear the video even way clearer now. I'm cutting back on my talking, as you guys can see the past couple of videos. We're trying to grow this community to something big. I know we can, so thank you guys for sticking with me and supporting the channel. Some changes are coming, man. Like I said, I might come in soon. You guys can catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. You guys know what we do. If you're brand new to the channel, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel, seekers. Just want to thank you guys who's been tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, hitting that post notification bell, man. I really appreciate the support. Like I said, that's how we can grow our community together, the seekers. So if you guys do those steps, we're on our way up, man. Like I said, once again, I messed with the audio settings, man. You guys have been seeing you guys how you couldn't hear the videos on some of it, so I turned it way up. Let me know down in the comments, man. Is the audio, is it good or fine, man? Like I said, I'm trying to get this right for you guys, seekers, man. Mike is coming soon. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
75 passengers lost their lives after this pilot let his children in the cockpit. On March 23rd, 1994, an Aeroflot aircraft was flying from Russia to Hong Kong when the airplane tragically crashed. Only a few hours into the flight, one of the pilots allowed his two children who were also on the flight to enter the cockpit so that they can see how everything operated. The pilot's 16-year-old son Elder and his 12-year-old daughter Yana had the opportunity to sit in the pilot's seat and play around with the aircraft's controls. Of course, autopilot was on, so this was not supposed to be dangerous. Well, at least that's what he thought. The pilot told his son Elder that he can turn the plane to one side so he can experience what it was to fly a plane. Unfortunately, this disabled autopilot. The pilots were unaware that the plane began turning, but once they noticed, the plane had steepened to almost 90 degrees. The plane started to quickly descend while the pilots tried to figure out what was wrong. And there's actually an audio recording of how everything played out, and you can hear the fear in these pilots' voices. The plane ended up crashing on a mountain in Russia, killing all 75 passengers on board. After investigating, they said that the cause of the crash were the children who were playing with the controls in the aircraft. And it was said that if the pilots had left the controls alone rather than trying to fix them manually, the plane would have corrected itself.
Pranks that definitely went too far. Firstly, this kid was walking into an elevator when the floor opened up. He genuinely thought he was falling to his death until he fell onto a slide that covered him in foam and feathers, which destroyed all of his belongings, including his laptop. Next, these people were applying for a job at LG Electronics when the window behind the interviewer showed a meteor crashing down, seemingly destroying the entire city. They were screaming and crying until the company had to run in and tell them it was just a screen. Finally, this prank is the worst one of all. These customers were paying for store items when a Grim Reaper appeared on the screen. When they turned around and saw a man with a scythe winking, they each began to tear up in regret, believing that these were their final moments.
Seekers, man, yeah, see how some people, man, they be taking jokes too far. That's definitely the case, man. Like, if you see a damn Reaper behind you, seekers, how would you guys react? And then turn around and see an old man there. We don't play with that type of energy.
This woman murdered a teenager because it was on her bucket list. It was 2016 and Gemma Lilly was 26 years old. She was obsessed with serial killers, and she'd emigrated to Australia 6 years earlier, back in 2010. She was originally from Lincolnshire and had a troubled upbringing. Her fascination with crime and horror was a dark one, and disturbingly, she even put murdering someone on her bucket list. Her housemate was 44-year-old Trudy Lennon. She was actually introduced by a mutual friend to Trudy. Trudy had been struggling financially and actually had 2 children to feed, so the pair decided to live together in order to share bills. At this point, the women started sharing disturbing fantasies about killing someone. Some of these were even documented in the online chats that the pair had. They used the code names SOS and Corvina. Within the space of just 3 weeks living together, the pair hatched a sickening plan. Terrifyingly, in the days leading up to the plan, the pair bought a circular saw, bleach, cement, a drop sheet, a large plastic barrel, and some acetone. Trudy identified their victim. Aaron Page was friends with one of Trudy's sons, and she decided they would lure him to the flat. They used the excuse of needing Aaron to come and install some games onto their computers. As he obliged, Gemma came up behind him and strangled him with a wire. She then stabbed him 3 times. They buried him in a shallow grave and attempted to cover it with concrete. Aaron was reported missing on the 14th of June after failing to return home. It was on the 20th of June that police were able to track Aaron's last call to Gemma's phone, which led them to investigate her. They searched the property and found Aaron's body along with a knife and the saw. Police even found CCTV evidence from Gemma's own CCTV camera. In 2018, both women were sentenced to life with a minimum term of 28 years.
She had that on a bucket list, Seekers. That's a different type of person, man. Truly.
This daycare worker is why many Americans choose to not send their kids to daycare. Hi, my name is Ethan, and trigger warning, this is a dark case. In June of 2018, a 1-year-old in Jessica Cherry's care allegedly fell from a chair, hit her head, and suffered extensive bruising and skull fracture. Fast forward 2 years later, another 2-year-old was found deceased in Jessica's playpen in her home. Jessica immediately called 911, and the 2-year-old was transported to Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters and was pronounced deceased. The pathologist who performed the autopsy on the 2-year-old later declared that she was potentially smothered, and that is how she passed away. They also saw that the child had blunt force injuries as well. Jessica was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in August of 2022, and on March 17th of this year, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Prosecutors will not seek the death penalty for the murders of Keelio and Roxy Coleman. If you don't know, Matthew Coleman is accused of killing his 2-year-old and 10-month-old because he believed his wife had passed on serpent DNA. He's confessed to shooting their kids with a spearfishing gun 29 times, yet he pleads not guilty. According to prosecutors, on August 7th, the family was just outside of their Santa Barbara home packing for a camping trip. Seemingly out of nowhere, Matthew picked up the kids, put them in the van, and drove off. Immediately, Abby Coleman called 911, but at first she didn't want an officer to come out as she thought they would all be back soon. That following day, on August 8th, Abby changed her mind. She reported her family missing and, with police, used Find My iPhone to track her husband's last known location. With this, it became clear Matthew had driven Keelio and Roxy into Mexico. FBI at the border was alerted to be on the lookout, but by this point, he was already carrying out his plan. As confirmed by surveillance footage, around 3 a.m. on August 9th, the three were seen leaving a Rosarito hotel. From here, Matthew just started driving. At 3:12, he texted Abby that things have been rough, but he's finally gotten some clarity. Tragically, we know that shortly after that message was sent, the kids were killed on the outskirts of a remote ranch. Matthew attempted to hide their bodies and then disposed of the weapon and bloody clothing in a nearby creek. Now, while the kids were found by 7:30 that morning, back at home, no one knew. When Abby woke up that morning, she got Matthew's message about clarity. She responded with this at 9:24 a.m. and then alerted police that his iPhone was headed back towards the border. Obviously, when Matthew tried to cross back over, the kids weren't with him. In recorded interviews, he discussed wild conspiracy theories, along with how he could communicate with his children. He said 10-month-old Roxy told him Abby was abusing them and that he had to kill them to save the world. So again, today Matthew still pleads not guilty, with the most recent update being that he will not face the death penalty. Court records also reveal that he and Abby shared mutual interest in these theories, but his beliefs reportedly grew stronger. Investigators say that they have and will continue to treat Abby as a victim in the case.
This is a tragic story.
Man, the thing that got me at the end, Seekers, when she said those two, they shared the same theory, so they was on that same that conspiracy theory, whatever they believed in, and led to a dark path, Seekers, man. That's how sometimes I don't try to go too deep into this, like, you know, conspiracy theory hole, because it can really change this perspective. You can become a completely different person. It's good to do research, but I feel like there's too much information, man. It might like overload your brain. Sometimes you gotta take a break to just to process all this new information we're learning, Seekers.
Story of how this boxer went from this to this. Back in 2015, 23-year-old Pritchard Collin and Terrell Williams competed at the Eagle Bank Arena in Virginia. At this point, Pritchard had only been pro for 2 years until this fight, which would be the last time he entered the ring, leaving him in a vegetative state. From the very beginning of the fight, Pritchard complained to the referee that Terrell kept hitting him with rabbit punches. If you don't know what that is, they're punches to the back of the head or neck that are extremely dangerous and can cause brain or spinal cord injury. These punches are illegal, and usually the fighter would be disqualified if it happened in a fight. Pritchard also mentioned to the ringside physician that he felt dizzy, but he could still go on, so the match continued. But on this night, after multiple rounds and blows to the head, when Pritchard went into his dressing room, long, he began throwing up. He eventually passed out and was rushed to the hospital where he underwent surgery for internal bleeding in his brain, and then he went into a coma for 221 days. When Pritchard woke up, he was in a vegetative state, and his mother and father have been taking care of him ever since. The blame has not only been put on Terrell for throwing illegal punches, but the referee and the physician who sat ringside were also negligent for failing to take any required steps to either stop the fight or get Pritchard some help. Pritchard's family filed a $50 million lawsuit against the physician, but it's never been settled, and apparently he's not legally responsible for any of this. Pritchard's parents were told by doctors that he would never get better because of the damage that was done. But if you see some progress videos that have been posted online, it's clear that Pritchard has gotten better, and I hope that one day he can be close to what he was.
Detail seekers. You never know what will happen. Eddie.
Horrific new details have been revealed in the case of Abby Williams and Libby German. If you've been following, you know the girls were enjoying a day off school when they were killed near Delphi's Monon High Bridge Trail. Richard Allen has since been arrested, with his defense now arguing that the way they were found actually suggests a ritualistic sacrifice. On Monday, they filed a 136-page document, including a step-by-step of what Richard would have to do to commit these crimes between 2:13 and 3:30 p.m. I'm going to be brief, but again, a warning that these details are horrific. According to court documents, the crime scene on Valentine's Day was ghoulish, with what appeared to be the letter F painted in blood on a tree. The girls were, quote, treated differently, but both reportedly suffered wounds to their necks. Abby was dressed in Libby's sweatshirt and jeans, with more clothes found in the nearby river. Aside from that, the defense states that the girls were positioned with branches of varying sizes arranged on their bodies. On Abby, there were sticks mimicking antlers, and another placement included 3 branches that resembled an asterisk. So with all of this information and more, the defense is arguing a lot. That no one could have done this alone, that there is overwhelming evidence tying Odinism to the crime scene, and that several officials believed a cult to be behind the murders. They also named 5 suspects who they say were cleared too quickly, including a man whose son was dating Abby at the time. They note that a social media post contained rooms that actually mimic the crime scene. It is a 136-page document, so there's a lot. But another thing the defense is asking for is a hearing to present evidence to throw out the search warrant at Richard's house. That is where police reportedly found a gun that matched a bullet found at the crime scene. As of today, the prosecution has not responded to any of the defense's claims. As always, if you would like to donate in Abby and Libby's name, go to the Abby and Libby Memorial Park Fund.
This girl killed her mum so that she wouldn't find out she got kicked out of school. On the 3rd of March 2020, police were called to do a welfare check at a property in Ohio. Brenda Powell lived in the house, the 50-year-old mother of Sydney Powell. Brenda had actually been on the phone with Sydney's former school. This was the University of Mount Union. Now, during the telephone call, a staff member heard repeated thuds and screaming, so authorities were alerted. Inside, they found Brenda Powell in a serious condition. She was rushed to hospital but died from her injuries. Brenda had been unaware that her 19-year-old daughter had been kicked out of the school. During her telephone conversation, Brenda was struck in the head and then stabbed nearly 30 times by Sydney. However, when police investigated the murder, Sydney tried to claim that there had been a break-in. She told them that there had been a noise and her mum had instructed her to run away. She said she heard screaming, and when she ran back in, her mum was on the floor. Investigators saw through her lies and she eventually changed her story. At her trial, she pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Her defense argued that Sydney was suffering from undiagnosed schizophrenia. They stated that she killed while experiencing a psychotic episode. However, it is rare for people with schizophrenia to act violently. It was concluded that Sydney had been exaggerating her symptoms. She's recently been found guilty and is awaiting sentencing. This story.
Oh, freaking daughter did that to you because she got kicked out of school and then just want to reveal the truth seekers. I'm telling you, man, seekers, the truth can be a powerful thing. Some people are afraid of it because of what it can do, and look what the extent people go to, man, in order not to say the truth. That's a dark case, seekers.
It makes me sick to my stomach. This is 14-year-old Scotty Morris out of Eden, Indiana. On the night of March 16th, Scotty got into an argument with his parents after they forced him to put on this embarrassing t-shirt, and he ended up leaving the house and running away. He left the house wearing only this t-shirt, some shorts, and tennis shoes. And so a lot of people are very worried that he is being exposed to these freezing temperatures. They have not been able to find a trace of him in 6 days. Naturally, Scotty's parents have been under fire because of this bizarre, humiliating form of punishment, and you just see the pain in his eyes. It makes you wonder what's really going on in that house, why they would take a picture of him in this, like they were going to use it later as ammunition. I don't know, I don't get it. I think it's horrible. But here's what Felicia had to say to her son.
This is Felicia Morris. She is Scotty Morris's mother. We've been working with Felicia for the last 3 days, and she's been very cooperative with our investigation. We had decided that she wanted to talk to Scotty personally, so that's why we're here.
Do I hold on?
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
Scott, I love you, and I want you to come home. And I know that you're mad and confused, and I'm afraid that you're scared of all of this. Everyone is out looking for you, and we're not trying to scare you. You're not in trouble, okay? If you're in a house and they come to you and you don't want to go out because it's the cops, reach out. Me and Dad will come get you, okay? I love you, and I just want you to come home. I need you to know that you're safe. Please just call 911. Tell anyone. I need you home. I just need you home, okay? And I love you so much, okay?
Guys, we found it.
It's all those things. It's like, to me, I'm like, there's a thing. I guess there's a difference between like punishment and I guess just like trying to humiliate someone. You can like humiliate the person. Like you said, you can see the pain in his eyes. That shirt dude's wearing said, "I'm a liar" or something like that. And yeah, they took a picture of that. Yes, it seemed like she said because that she was going to use that for later. And you see this man want to dive into that case, man, so we can wrap that up. I appreciate that.
It's okay, you gotta go. I'll look you Wait, open it. Open it. This thing. So if you don't remember this story, back in 2020, a young woman and her group of friends were filming a TikTok video while they were using the app Randonautica. Now, if you don't know what Randonautica is, it's an app where you put in some sort of an intention, like scary, and it gives you a set of coordinates to go on some sort of little mini adventure. And on that day, those people had randomly gone out on a Randonautica adventure and had been sent to those coordinates where they discovered suitcases. And inside of those suitcases, shockingly, were 2 sets of human remains. Eventually, those remains were identified as belonging to Jessica Lewis and Austin Wenner. They were 2 locals who lived in the Seattle area, and they had gone missing prior to this discovery. After some investigation, it was revealed that these 2 had gotten themselves involved in some sort of criminal activities, but still, the question remained, who had killed them? Well, it was this man, 65-year-old Michael Dudley, a landlord in the Seattle area. As it turns out, he was the landlord for the 2 victims, and some sort of altercation had occurred on June 9th, 2020. On that day, according to further investigation, Michael Dudley had gotten into an argument with Jessica and Austin. And after this argument, he went upstairs to the bedroom that Austin and Jessica were renting. He shot them both to death, most likely for not paying rent and being involved in this criminal activity that they were bringing into his home. But disturbingly, Michael then took this a step further, and instead of just burying their bodies somewhere, he decided to dismember them. That's right, he then dismembered these 2 adult human bodies, stuffed them into suitcases, and tried to dispose of them in 2 different waterways in the Seattle area. Now, Michael was eventually caught and arrested for this crime, and eventually after the trial, he was sentenced to 46 years in prison. And with him being 65 years old already, this is practically a death sentence. I just remember seeing this video when it was first released and it was making its rounds on social media and thinking that can't possibly be true. But in this case, the actual reality of the situation was darker than any sort of fictional situation I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, we need to look out for that. Randonautica? Once again.
Did you know that Gino D'Acampo actually served time in prison? Many people in the UK absolutely love Gino, who is well known for appearing on daytime television. However, many people don't know that he does have a criminal past. This true crime case honestly reads like a bizarre fan fiction. In 1998, way before he ever appeared on ITV's This Morning, Gino was 21 years old. He was an unknown waiter living in North London. He broke into the home of well-known 80s singer Paul Young. He was known for having hits such as Wherever I Lay My Hat. Gino stole Paul's guitar collection, which was reportedly worth around £4,000. He also stole his platinum disc. Police investigating the crime found that Gino had actually unknowingly left his DNA at the crime scene. He dropped a cigarette butt with his DNA on it. They were able to match this DNA to Gino, and he was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Gino actually reached out to Paul personally to apologise to him just prior to entering the I'm a Celebrity jungle back in 2009. Gino stated that he was involved with the wrong people back then and was on the wrong path.
This is
Never know anybody's path, Seekers. Past.
Have been missing from Ferrum, Virginia since September 5th. But despite Virginia police saying that Lauren and her 3 children have been missing for over 2 weeks, her husband remains unconcerned and maintains that this isn't the case. 30-year-old Lauren and her 3 kids, 7-year-old Benjamin, 5-year-old Hannah, and 2-year-old Elijah, were last seen in their home in Ferrum, Virginia on September 5th. That day, Lauren missed a scheduled court appearance in Franklin County Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court. A missing persons investigation was initiated after Lauren did not appear for her rescheduled court appearance on September 13th. It's not clear why exactly Lauren was due in court, but police have said that juvenile records are confidential. Lauren's family has not heard from her since September 5th. A news release said, quote, "There has been no reported contact with Lauren since September 5th or 6th when she stated that she was in New York visiting family. This was the last time Lauren's mother spoke to her, and she said that Lauren's bank account hasn't shown any recent activity, and her cell phone last pinged on September 7th in Lexington, Virginia." Investigators later confirmed that Lauren and the kids had been in Litchfield, Illinois, but they haven't been able to directly talk to them, so they are still considered missing. Despite concerns from authorities and Lauren's family, her husband and the children's father, Jordan Cook, is not concerned, saying his wife and his children are not missing. Jordan was in attendance at the family's recent rescheduled court appearance on September 20th, but Lauren was not there. But Jordan Cook said, "I have no reason to be concerned about their safety or well-being. I have heard from my wife, and I'm sure she and my children are doing well. We ask that our family's privacy be respected at this time." But Sergeant Megan Houston said that until Lauren and the kids appear in person to a law enforcement officer, they are still regarded as missing. She said Lauren and the 3 children will remain in local and national databases as missing until a law enforcement agency is able to lay eyes on them to ensure that they are okay and not under any duress. She said this is the typical protocol for when someone is entered in as missing. A reported phone call, phone ping, photo, video, audio, etc. is not sufficient to clear the missing persons alert out of the system. According to Lauren's mother, Lauren is also 5 months pregnant. Lauren and her children may be traveling in a 2013 blue Chrysler van with Virginia license plates. Anyone with any information about Lauren or her children should contact the Franklin County Sheriff's Office.
Now y'all, Jalen's family rushed to be by her side at Grady Hospital. They learned that Jalen was shot twice in her face and she was shot in her back and her spine. Now this ended up severing her spine. Now Jalen was also placed on a ventilator because of all of the swelling and made it hard for her to breathe. Now y'all, this 24-year-old who had just had a baby not even 6 weeks ago was in the hospital fighting for her life. Now Jaden could not speak, but she was writing things on this board, and one of the things that she told her parents was, "I want to survive." Jaden also started to recall everything that was going on the day that she got shot. She remembered him saying that she shouldn't have came there and that she was gonna die. She recalled zip ties, and she saying that after she got shot, she just kept fighting because she wanted to live for Josiah. Now Jalen's mother did learn what actually happened that day. Jalen is saying that when she got there, he had zip ties and he tried to zip tie her. Jalen then tried to make a run for it when she realized that this man is going to try to kill me. Now, as Jalen is running for her life with her baby, she's huddled over her baby. Jamar is chasing her, and that's when he shoots her in her back. So Jalen's still fighting for her life. The baby ends up dropping, and that's when she's trying to crawl to the door. He then stands over her, shooting her 2 times in the face. Now, this is at the point where he thought that Jalen was dead, because after that, that's when he turned the gun on himself. But Jalen was not dead, and she was able to crawl out into the yard where a neighbor saw her. Y'all, this girl literally got shot in her face, her back, and she was still able to crawl out and help herself and her son. Now, although Jalen has a long road of recovery ahead of her, she is expected to survive. Now, y'all, it is so important that Jalen's story gets heard because it might be another young lady out there that's in her situation. Y'all, this man was very possessive, very abusive, always checking her location, always just doing things to see where she was. But never in a million years did they think that he would try to kill her. And not only that, you guys have to think about, she was holding his baby when all of this took place. So not only was he trying to kill her, he could have killed his own child as well. Now, there is not a lot of justice that could be done because Jamar did end up killing himself. But Jalen and her family, they want to get this story out there because maybe it can touch somebody and maybe it could save a life. As of right now, Jalen's family's main priority is her recovery and the raising of Josiah. Now, there is a GoFundMe that you guys can donate, or if you just share it, that is fine, for Jalen and her son Josiah and for her recovery. And they are also having a basketball fundraiser on September 30th from 10 to 2. Now, this will take place in Griffin, Georgia, and it is taking place at the First Assembly God Church at the gym. Jalen is a beautiful mother. She's a survivor, and y'all, she deserves all the love and peace in the world. My heart goes out to her huge family, because through all of this, they have stepped up and they are taking care of Josiah. Not only that, they are also taking care of Jalen. Jalen is in a wheelchair now. She would need all the help that she can get. You guys, please make sure you blow this up. Share this. Maybe somebody will see this video and they'll leave a bad situation that they're in. Or maybe somebody's going through a similar situation that they're on the fence about, and this video could help them. Justice for Jalen, and y'all make sure you blow this one up.
75
Seekers, you guys, man. Justice for Jalen, like they said. Let's blow this video up, Seekers, man, because that was actually, she's a survivor. To survive all that, man, like she literally had to crawl at the end. That's a different type of strength, Seekers. Truly. You guys made it with me to the end of the video. You're a real one, Seekers. Seeking the truth, supporting the channel. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, tell me how you guys like this audio setting, man. You guys have noticed in the past couple of videos I'm like pausing them less, man. I'm trying to keep it down to like 3 or 4 pauses, man. I'm just trying to let the video play out because that's what you guys want. I want to give you guys the best type of content that you guys want. You guys gonna catch it in the next one, man. Like I said, gonna close out April strong. They're going into May even stronger, Seekers. Let's go. Blow this video up. Peace, Seekers. What's up, Seekers? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just like I said, when I thank the Seekers who's been tapping in with us, man, I greatly appreciate the support. Like I said, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification bell, hit that like button. That's how the Seekers can grow. Once again, I changed the audio settings because you guys haven't seen, you guys can't hear. So man, like I said, bear with me when I work through these changes, you guys. I'm always trying to improve the channel, so I changed the audio today. Let me know how it sounds. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
Kiara Muska pretended to be pregnant to try and save a failing relationship, but when she realized she didn't have a real baby to deliver, she turned to desperate measures. Thank you to Lifetime for partnering with me, and here's a quick clip from their movie Stolen Baby, The Murder of Heidi Broussard. I'm pregnant. Say something.
Well, you should stay then.
What do you mean?
It means you don't need to move out, at least until the baby comes, right?
Well, I mean, I can see if my other place is still available.
No, please, please stay. I want to make sure the baby has everything. Okay?
So you're not mad?
Mad? No. This is not how I would have planned this, but, hey, I mean, I've always wanted a family.
You can watch this movie and other ripped from the headlines movies for free all of April at mylifetime.com/watchripped.
So we check that out, Seekers?
AI to create fake photos of a murderer. I'd heard of this case before, and watching the documentary last weekend, it seems like Netflix had gotten exclusive photos. What Jennifer Did is a true crime documentary on Netflix about the case of Jennifer Pan. She hired a hitman to kill her parents and hide her double life. Several articles online point out these photos. It seems like she's missing fingers, which is a trademark of AI. And I also just noticed that in this left photo, her top teeth do not line up with the bottom row. It's like one tooth is behind. And these photos did stick out to me while watching the documentary. I was familiar with the case, but I feel like this was the main photo that you'd see. And a lot of sources online seem to just rely on her interrogation photos in this white t-shirt with the braid. But while watching it, I assumed that they had gotten these photos from a friend. Because they did have interviews with friends of Jennifer's as well as the investigators, and I did think the documentary was good overall. But what's the point of this? I mean, looking at it now, it does look very, like, airbrushed, to say the least. So, you know, at best, I think the photos were very blurry or poor quality, and they just enhanced them, and that's why they have this overall fake look. Or maybe this is just one of the ways that AI is going to change the media we consume. Personally, I do think it's very odd to create AI for true crime because those two things are just like complete opposite ends of the spectrum. But if you look online, there's really not that many photos of Jennifer, but again, Netflix has a lot more resources than I do. I don't know if the story will get big enough to where they like have to make a statement on it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments.
These are
Seekers. Was that like a fake picture, man? I've been hearing some of that controversy. Yeah, you guys know how AI and technology, like, it got that advanced where you can just make fake pictures, and it's in a documentary. And like she said, you know, Netflix has way more resources than that, so I don't know why they just fall back on that. Scary time we live in, Seekers. Nothing we see is real on the internet.
Scary urban legends that were proven to be real, part 1. Up first is the Candy Lady. In the early 1900s, children in an unnamed small town in Texas started to go missing out of nowhere. And every single one of the residents blamed it on the Candy Lady. The story says she would go around leaving candy on kids' windows, and she would eventually lure the children out with notes attached to the candy saying they will get more candy. The story started getting extremely popular when a farmer found rotten teeth in his farm, and also a young boy's dead body with his pockets stuffed with candy. So if you live in Texas, you better watch out for the Candy Lady.
The Candy Lady, Seekers. Should we look into that? These urban legends, man. There's always a story behind them, Seekers.
Would do something like this to my beautiful baby. She hurt nobody. She harmed nobody.
A devastating crime has struck the community of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A 33-year-old man named Maxwell Anderson has been charged with the murder and dismemberment of 19-year-old Sadie Robinson. Anderson, a former high school football star and son of a local millionaire insurance broker, allegedly took Sad out on a date before killing her. Sade was reported missing when she didn't show up to her job at a local pizza shop the day after her date with Anderson. Vehicle fire responders discovered that her car had been set on fire and went on to discover parts of her dismembered body in the park. As the former football star's residence was investigated, investigators found clear signs of a crime. Blood traces on a bed and walls leading to his basement, along with several gasoline canisters. He was arrested on a traffic stop later that day. Not only had Anderson worked in the insurance business with his father, but he also described himself as a bartender on social media. It was in this profession that he met Sade, as he had previously worked at the restaurant they went to on their date. A former co-worker described Anderson as erratic, often getting very drunk at work. Another former friend of Anderson's mentioned an unusual occurrence when he visited Anderson's home and found a massive hole he was digging in his backyard. Robinson was a beloved figure in her community and was working toward a degree in criminal justice at the Milwaukee Area Technical College. Anderson's history includes past convictions for battery, domestic abuse, and drunk driving. As the community comes to terms with such a heinous act, we mourn alongside Sadie's family, friends, and all those who loved her.
The girl you were looking at.
Seekers, you can't even go on a simple date anymore without an incident and a tragedy. That's how you gotta watch the people you decide to spend your time with, because you never know the dark side they have behind them. Like, he had a history of that. Obviously she didn't know, but she met him there too, and like they were known in the community, and he's the son of a local millionaire. Stuff like that just happened. Twists and turns.
and has no idea that she's about to take the most unexplainable photo in history. This is 5-year-old Elizabeth, and this is her father Jim, who instructed her to sit down so that way he could take a picture of her in her brand new dress. He took a total of 3 pictures while his wife and his other daughter stood right beside him. When the photos were developed, Jim found on the second photo there's a large humanoid figure standing behind him that resembles a spacesuit. The couple came out and said, "We were in an empty field, there was no sort of bystanders, and I think we would have known if somebody was standing behind our daughter." Jim had the photo examined by Kodak Lab, and they said the anomaly in the picture is original negative, which means this thing behind her is physically present there, like it's real. This picture was taken in 1964. Obviously there was no sort of Photoshop, but if you think that's the craziest part, listen to this. This all made headlines, and Kodak Labs offered $1 million to anybody who could disprove this photo. And to this day, it has never been paid out. More recently, people have been saying they have debunked this by saying it's really her mother standing behind her. And I don't know, her mother was wearing a blue dress that day, and they basically said the overexposure from the light made it look white. Here are the pictures side by side, and you kind of let me know what you guys think. So is this Jim's wife in the background, or is this something we've never seen? Make sure to like and follow for tomorrow's video.
Did you know Gordon Ramsay survived a terrifying murder attempt? Gordon Ramsay is a British celebrity chef, well known for TV shows such as Hell's Kitchen and Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. He's been given a total of 17 Michelin stars. He's arguably one of the most influential chefs in the world. However, his life was nearly taken in a shocking incident in Costa Rica in 2011. Gordon had been filming for a Channel 4 show called Shark Bait. The show was about the fishing industry, and Gordon and his team were trying to shed light on the cruel practice of shark hunting. Smugglers would cut sharks' fins off and leave them to die, and needless to say, Gordon was really against this. In a terrifying ordeal during the filming of the program, Gordon and the crew were confronted by a gang involved in illegal substances.
What?
The gang poured a barrel of petrol all over Gordon and his team and threatened their life. They were then held at gunpoint and told that if they didn't stop filming, they would be killed. Local police showed up and advised Gordon and his crew to leave the country.
I never knew that, man. Gordon Ramsay, yeah, you know he's one of the most influential chefs in the whole world, Seekers, but to hear that, yeah, he tried to stop some injustice. Proves the type of person he was, man. They had him at gun too, and they just had to leave. It ain't worth it on your life, Seekers. That's the first time I'm hearing about that. I think that would be like in the headlines or something. I'm out. A damn skinwalker? You don't do those, Seekers.
150 miles away to celebrate her 18th birthday with her boyfriend. When Cootie returned home after almost 6 days, her baby wasn't waking up, and sadly nothing could be done to save Asaya.
Have you seen a guy in the picture that shows up with an upside down face?
What are you talking about here?
There's an urban legend, so in pictures of tragedy, there's always a guy somewhere in the background with an upside down face.
What?
Like an upside down face. This is shown through history, fam. Trust me. So this whole thing started with an artist. It's a guy with an upside down face with a big grin, and every time he's shown in pictures, it's always in tragedy because he loves feeding off people's bad energy and traumas. So I'm gonna show you a few pictures.
Is it like popular pictures?
Popular pictures. This is very old. In a car crash. Who do you see?
Okay. Wait, what?
Next one. A car crash. This is the exact picture. Look.
This is a troll.
In a New Year's party. What do you see in the background? A guy with an upside down face.
What happened at that party?
The same party, that night, a guy passed away. Last one. Boom. You see trail tracks, right?
Yeah.
Look.
Okay, stop. The upside down face guy. We're going to have to look into that.
This is really a headline you'd only see coming from Texas. 10-year-old boy reportedly admits to fatally shooting a stranger in the head back in 2022. And this is also while the man was sleeping. The victim behind me is Brandon Raspberry. Brandon was employed at an RV trailer company, and when he didn't show up to work, his boss got worried and went to his trailer to see what was going on. When he went inside, he found Raspberry just dead there. When deputies arrived at the scene, they found he had one single gunshot wound to the head, and his body had been dead for about 2 days before anyone found him. Now, this happened 2 years ago in 2022. Listen to this. Now, just a week ago, a principal reported a 10-year-old kid saying that he wanted to kill and hurt another student on the bus. A deputy just came and talked to the kid asking what's going on. That's when the child admitted to shooting somebody 2 years ago. They took him to the station to interview him, and he went in detail about how he shot a man in a trailer. This was Brandon Raspberry. Apparently, the 10-year-old grabbed the gun from his grandfather's RV. The child also said he didn't know Brandon personally, so he just shot this guy randomly while he was sleeping. So at the time of the shooting, the kid was about 7 years old. Because of laws, you can't really charge a child until they're 10, so he's being charged for threatening another kid on the school bus, but he can't be charged for this apparently. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Holy crap.
Seekers, man, it seems they just be getting younger and younger. Like, they couldn't even get him for what he did. They had to get him for a completely different charge. But I'm like, he's 7 years old, that damn young? Talking about he wants to hurt somebody? He did it too, man. That's what people, they gotta put up their possessions, because if somebody else gets a hold of it, they can do the unthinkable, Seekers.
We all seen the story. This is Erica de Souza Nunez from Rio de Janeiro, and earlier this week she rolled her deceased uncle into a local bank in a wheelchair to try to secure a loan. Now, behind me is the deceased uncle. I'm not going to show him here. However, you can see the video of this on TMZ. In the video, you can see she's clearly having to hold his head up. She continues to talk to him, asking him if he understands, if he can hear her. At one point, she even attempts to place a pen in his hand so that he can sign this loan for her. Of course, bank authorities knew that something was wrong, so they did call the police. The victim was identified as Paulo Roberto Braga. And they say that he had been dead at least for several hours before she wheeled him into this bank to attempt to get this $3,400 loan. Erica Denise may be charged with theft through fraud, embezzlement, and abuse of a corpse. Now authorities are trying to decide the cause of death of this man and if he has any other family members or if anyone else is involved.
Things people do for money, Seekers. He was gone, but she still wanted that money. $3,400 too? That's a small amount.
Never do this. This man was walking down the street when he encountered a very strange woman, not knowing who she really was. I'll tell you who she is in this video. But first know that I can only protect those who have commented their first name, liked, and favorited the video by clicking on share, and then more. If you see a strange application, it means you are being spied on. This woman is part of a group called Legion of the Dark Veil. It's an organization that includes Kaylee and Kaylee, Brim and Scan, or Buddy as mentioned in my previous video. It's an organization that aims to terrorize our world by taking control through the power of certain demons from the other world. They are increasingly arriving on Earth, and it's chilling. At the moment, they are in what is called the recruitment phase, meaning they are trying to rally as many people as possible to their cause, to form formidable army. And the most terrifying thing about all this is that they can influence the responses of the people they wish to recruit through their gifts from the other world. So if you ever encounter them, be careful, because your choice will not be your own.
Alright, I want to talk about the whole Watcher situation and why this is a really dumb, stupid idea. So for those of you who don't know Watcher, it's BuzzFeed Unsolved, but without the BuzzFeed, independent, ran by the same team of people. They've been back on YouTube for about a year or two now, and recently they announced that they're leaving YouTube, which is a bit of a clickbait title. It's not as egregious as people are making it out to be. They are actually going to continue uploading on YouTube. They're just uploading one episode per season of whatever show they're making for free, and then charging a subscription on their own website for you to watch the rest. Now, this is a model that works. Look at Dropout, for example, which we'll get to more in a minute here. But the way they are handling this is the absolute worst way you could possibly do this. Now, Clay, why do you say that? Well, good question. And the reason is expectations. Now, in an interview with Smosh, Rhett and Link talked about how they set expectations when they launched Good Mythical Morning so that they would not hit any road bumps as far as doing sponsorship deals or things like that. Because back in the day, people were not receptive to people having YouTube sponsors at all. If you had an ad break in your own video, people would crucify you. But they made sure that on the first episode of Good Mythical Morning, no matter what, they would take whatever sponsor offered. Because that way, the audience knew, hey, this is a sponsored show. They're going to have sponsors regularly. They can't get mad about it because there's suddenly something different. That's just the expectation from the start. Now, as for Watcher, they've been doing this stuff for free for years now. They have a Patreon, they do sponsorships, they have a whole podcast and everything. They got all of the money trains coming in from YouTube that everyone expects and accepts. Which is why this move is so stupid. They have already set the expectation of this is what you get, and now they're going, actually, give me some money. Give me a little more money, please. But here's the thing. Those expectations wouldn't be in place if they just did this from the beginning. That's why Dropout works and is so successful, because when they rebranded and relaunched everything, they made it very clear what their model was from the very start. Hell, I know people who pay for Dropout. I've thought about paying for Dropout. I did the free trial and I liked it, but you know. But that's why I don't think this is going to work out. The really poor launch of this is what's making this whole thing become an uphill battle for them that I don't think they're going to win. The really poor announcement, the misleading title leading to a bunch of misinformation getting spread, the lack of directly addressing fans at all. Hell, they have, I think it's like 5,700 plus people that already give them money monthly on their Patreon that they did not tell about this at all. Again, not because this model doesn't work, but because they've already missed their opportunity to launch this without creating problems for themselves.
I think he was sitting here on the Nessie, because man, when they're doing that rebrand, I haven't seen a couple articles about that. Yeah, it's like you're gonna expect people to pay for something that was for free or something, or that they was already paid for on Patreons. It's like, I don't think that's a good freaking business model. It's just gonna, like I said, upset fans and their expectations. Like I said, if they would have did that when they rebranded in the beginning, maybe, like I said, it could have worked. But I'm telling you, man, things people do for money, and they have all that support on Patreons and stuff like that. So you already know they got probably like a good chunk of money coming in, but maybe it's not enough and they just need some more. But I'm telling you, man, the things people do for money, it's crazy, Seekers.
Write them a $100 check for a pack of gum to give you back $98 or whatever. You could go around to like a grocery store, drop me off at the front door, I'd run in, find something real quick, at the line, whatever. Pay for that, they give you back the $98. So you're making almost $100 every trip, where you go around to 10, 15 grocery stores that day. Turn around sometimes on a profitable day, feeling energetic, go around to the next shift and do it again. You know what I mean? And back in those days, they didn't quite catch up with those checks in their systems like they would now.
Could take a week.
But you could even go back in those days to like Sears, buy a VCR for $150, take it back 2 days later, and they would give you cash back. You give them the receipt. They would call it check cash.
I had a buddy who would literally walk right in the door, grab a couple of gallons of paint, turn right around, walk 15 feet to the return desk and say, hey, look, we got the wrong color. I need my money back. Do you have the receipt? He go, I don't have the receipt. They go, okay. They give him cash.
Yeah.
Obviously, Scotty's didn't make it very long.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, we'll give you a gift card, or we'll put it back on the card, or you don't have the receipt. Oh, no, you get a card.
This is the worst thing that ever happened in a concert, and whatever you do, don't look up the video. This is a photograph from a packed out concert, and playing on the stage is the LA-based band called the Great Whites. It's a late evening on February 20th, 2003, and the band is performing at the station in Warwick, Rhode Island. Just after 11 p.m. during the opening song of Great White's set, the band pyrotechnics went off as planned. And very quickly, everything started to go horribly wrong. Almost immediately, the foam on top of the stage and the walls caught fire, and the flames erupted all around. The fire spread quickly, way too quickly for anybody to react. Smoke filled the entire venue, and the band was able to get out through the stage exits. But this left hundreds of audience members panicking and clambering all over each other in a desperate bid to get fresh air from outside, since the whole room was filling with smoke. In the video, you see people screaming and being crushed. It's honestly horrific, and I don't recommend looking it up. Within 6 minutes of the pyrotechnics going off, the building was in flames. There were 4 exits for the venue, but almost all of the crowd made a break for the main entrance, the one that they all came in from. This resulted in a massive human wall of people falling on top of each other and crushing each other and blocking a lot of people inside with the flames. It would later turn out the venue was overcrowded beyond its legal limit. It had no fixed sprinkler system, and although they had a fire alarm, it wasn't connected to the local fire department. According to survivors, it's one of the most horrifying things they had ever seen. People piling up on each other, crushing anyone who was unlucky enough to be below. Half-burnt human beings being pulled from the flames. It was snowing also, so survivors were rubbing snow onto the burnt survivors. In total, 100 people lost their lives and more than 200 people were injured.
Ty Longley, who was the guitarist for Great White, also died. The tour manager who set off the pyrotechnics was charged in the involuntary manslaughter of 100 people and sentenced to 15 years in prison, although he was released early as the victims' families appealed on his behalf. The owners of the venue pleaded no contest and they faced similar jail terms. This photograph shows the band and crowd of people completely unaware of the horrors that are about to happen to all of them. I don't recommend watching the video or looking it up because, as I already said, it really is horrifying.
On the morning of June...
See, because I can't believe that the guy who set it up, he was the one who faced the consequences. See, because not the person, the people behind the band setting it up. And then, like I said, the people, they didn't have that venue. It's the people who had that venue, they should have, I think they should have faced the most consequences. See, because it was packed, they didn't have no sprinklers and stuff like that. And it resulted in a lot of people, man, freaking not being able to come home. Because people want to cut off, like I said, the details and stuff like that just so they can save some extra money or something, man. That venue places, man. Gotta be careful, seekers. If something looks sketchy, don't even go. It's not even worth it.
June 9th, 2022, an elderly woman named Maya Murmu was collecting water from a well in her village of Rapai, which is in eastern India. As she did so, there were all kinds of bystanders, and they watched as this lone Asian elephant comes walking out of the woods. And as soon as it saw Maya, it just charged directly for her, and only her. And it ran her down, knocked her to the ground, it picked her up with its trunk, and then slams her on the ground and began to trample her. And of course everybody is yelling and screaming, but that's about all they can do because this is an adult elephant. You're not going to fight it off. So they're basically just forced to watch as this thing tramples her into the dirt. And when this elephant felt like it was done, it just turned around and walked right back into the woods without going after anybody else. It just left. But little did anybody know, this elephant was actually not done with Maya by a long shot. But when it left, they went and gathered her up, and they ran her as quickly as they could to the nearest hospital, but by the time they got there, she was pronounced deceased. Now, in this part of India, it's customary to cremate your dead and to do it quickly. So the hospital released her body back to her family and the villagers, who took her back to Rapai, and they built this giant funeral pyre, which is just a pile of sticks and logs, and placed her body on top of it to burn her. And as her family are giving their last rites in their funeral, they see, presumably, this same elephant come out of the woods again. And they all scatter, thinking that this thing is going to come back and hurt somebody else. But it's not coming after anybody else. It's coming after Maya again. It runs up to her funeral pyre, and of course, she is deceased. But all the same, this elephant picks up her body with its trunk and slams her into the dirt again and begins trampling her again. And when it does this, it's trumpeting and making all these vocalizations, which seemingly call the rest of its herd, a further 11 elephants, come out of the woods. And when they do, they start doing damage to some of the village homes. But what's interesting is they damaged 3 homes, but they only completely destroyed 1. And the one they destroyed happened to belong to Maya. Not only did they destroy her home, but they also killed all of her goats. And that was the only thing that they killed. They didn't go after any other animals or any other people. And the villagers, they were backed way off, and when they thought all the elephants had left, they came back to see the damage that had been done, and all the elephants had left, except for the initial one that came from Maya's body. It still had her body on the ground, and it was still trampling it. But eventually that elephant also left. But they captured video of all of this, this thing coming back and destroying Maya's body. And when that video hit the internet and went viral on Twitter for a while, people were just really confused as to why this elephants who are not known to be violent animals, did this to this person. And people started to come up with all kinds of different theories, like she was a poacher or she was working with poachers. But it's important to note there's no real evidence to this. That was all started on Twitter. We don't know why this elephant had it out against Maya, but clearly it did.
Seekers, man. I'm gonna need some of my fellow seekers to look into that case, because it's like they just came back to keep attacking Maya. Like, something had to have happened. Like I said, I don't know if she did something to a group of elephants or something like that. But for an elephant to like specifically target her and her alone, that's very weird, seekers, and bizarre. First time hearing about that. Or you guys got any theories and stuff? Like you said, maybe she was working with poachers or something else that happened and went down. That's what made the elephant target her. He even called his herd, and they just destroyed the village. But like you said, they only destroyed her home completely out of everybody. So there can't be a coincidence. This like is lining up too many times, Seekers. Guys, that's it, Seekers, man, for this video for you guys today, man. Once again, tell me in the comment section down below, guys, that you guys like the audio change, because like I said, I switched it up. You guys been saying the volume is low, man. I'm trying to make the channel the best for you guys, the best quality. So I really appreciate the support, man. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep grinding. May's gonna be a good month, bro, but we're gonna continue on focusing on April, closing out this month strong. Guys, I'm catching the next one. I'm out. Peace, Seekers.